closer to me. Yeah. Do you like me like that? But, so, yeah. So, welcome back to the Malone-Mitchell podcast. You guys can follow me on all social media at Malone-Mitchell Basketball, also the Malone-Mitchell podcast, and also at _Mitch Austin. All social media, Twitter, it's all the same thing. You guys can keep up with the podcast, me, my training, and all that. Keep up with me, keep up with what we're doing. So hopefully you guys like this interview and like what I've been doing. Keep commenting, let's add some comments, and hopefully you guys, start adding some engagement and give me some thoughts on what you guys think about the interviews, good or bad, it doesn't matter. Always open to all constructive. I'm open to criticism, period. So I got my little sister here with me. I don't know if you guys know I have a little sister.
Yeah. Probably not.
So yeah, she's a year younger than me. Kristin Malone. We both went to Shorewood our whole life. I grew up with her, which I don't think a lot of people know either. We grew up. You tell the backstory. I don't know what backstory it is.
I mean, overall, like, a lot of people probably don't know that he even has a sister because we went to different high schools for the most part. He went to Shorewood.
My high school.
Whatever. He went to Shorewood his freshman year. And then
we went to Shorewood our whole lives. Then I left after my freshman year and transferred. And then, so we were in high school together. We were in middle school together one time. We were in elementary. But yeah, people knew we were family related. But like, the reason why I really am happy about having her is, of course, she's my family. But I think she has a very great story. And period, because she's not to cut through the story, but not to cut straight to the end, but basically, she's a African American swimmer from Milwaukee. She went to Shorewood, but she's from Milwaukee. We grew up on 13th and Capitol and all that. So, and she did it with swimming. I don't know any black girl who was killing in Wisconsin, period. I gotta do my research. I did my research. I don't know any black girls who was winning state championships, swimming, breaking records, U.S. trials, like really getting it in. And like, it was kind of weird to me how I thought that she should have got more props for it, like way more props than what she did get from it. Like, nobody got a few little write-ups, and like Shorewood, it's a small community, so everybody knew what it was there. But like, bigger wise, like, it should have been blowing up more.
Definitely.
But yeah, so just talk about it. So I know our moms both got us in swimming when we were young, super young. Shorewood Swim Club. I know I didn't like it at first. I don't think you liked it either.
Yeah, I don't think I liked it at first at all. It was hard.
Yeah.
But our mom wanted us to be able to swim, not just like decently, but like actually like very well.
Yeah, shout out to Dave, Rob. I think they're the first coaches. I don't remember.
Yeah, Dave Westfall, Rob McCabe. Those are our coaches kind of growing up. But I basically started swimming at the age of 5, I think, is when we really started taking lessons, and then really got into it competitively at 6 for me. So, I mean, even from there forwards, I probably...
Were you good right away at it? Were you always one?
I'd say by the time I was 8, I was like pretty good, like better than average, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't until I was probably about 10 that I really was like definitely significantly better than most of my peers, or like nationally ranked amongst my age group at a young age. Yeah. And then honestly, that was at a young age, probably up until 10, I was like very much in it, just enjoying it. Mm-hmm. You're young in sports. And it wasn't until middle school, whenever that came, around like 12 or whatever, that I was like not really that into it. My friends were kind of quitting the sport. So then I decided to take a little break. Yeah. Well, when your friends aren't doing the sport, or like you're not enjoying it, like the peers you're with, especially swimming, where, I mean, you're not talking to people while you're doing it. It's not as interactive, I feel like, as other sports. So
that was the main point of cut me off if I'm wrong, but that was the main point of you doing that sport, because you were into what mom always would say, that you was like, that's why she wants you to do that, because it's an individual sport. So you don't have to I don't know if it was you didn't work good with others type thing, but it was like you want to.
A little bit.
Like same thing. You can control your own shit.
Yeah, it was more that I
your
didn't.
Own destiny.
Yeah, I didn't like team sports in the aspect of, no matter how good one person is, you usually can't hold an entire team and I want to win. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was always on teams that weren't really winning, regardless of how good I may have been doing. A few other people, that's any sport. But I just didn't like that. So individual sports, swimming was like the perfect combination.
So when you started, so I remember swimming was born. I remember I stopped swimming because it flicked it with basketball, but still, Speedos was over for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like back then it was over. I couldn't rock the Speedos. I couldn't wear that.
Yeah.
But no, I did like 2 swim meets. So I was just doing it. But yeah, I definitely would have did it if it wasn't during basketball season.
Mm-hmm.
But how old were you when you won your first state championship? So for swimming, it's like they have it's been a while. So it's school league, but it's also club league.
Yeah.
So like that's different. So it's state championships in both. So
Yeah.
how old were you when you first really started? I gotta cuss. When you really started getting your shit off. When you really started being cold. Like when you really came into your own. Like damn, I'm really winning these meets. When were you really placing high?
It probably when I was 10 is really when it happened, which
Right
I think
away.
it's 10 and under, so like that was when I was at the top of my age group for the first time, so that makes sense. But it was really then, I was also doing gymnastics at the time, and that really, I think, like being both like flexible and strong on another level, like helped with swimming a lot. So when I got to do that, I think that's when my swimming really, really took off at 10. I remember that was when I first had the thought, like, oh, I'm definitely doing this in college. Like, I'm going to try and get a scholarship.
You remember it back then?
Oh, yeah. It was very, very early when I knew I was going to do it in college. Like, that was always my plan. Like, it was no doubt in my mind, for sure.
I know that. Yeah, we never talked about none of that, but that's what's up. Yeah. So, going into, so when was your first, going into high school, was that, what was that like?
Yeah, I guess the process, so like I was saying earlier, after elementary school, when I went into middle school, a lot of my friends weren't swimming anymore, so then I started getting away from the sport. I wasn't going consistently. I was honestly just doing it occasionally to stay in somewhat swimming shape, but I really wasn't.
Do you think it was more of the push that dad gave you, or was it the push that,
I think,
I felt like he kind of pushed you to do it. If he
I
didn't
think
push
he
you,
pushed me actually, maybe. Well, I was always planning on going back to it in high school no matter what, and starting with high school swimming.
Yeah.
And then I was like, maybe I'll go back to club if it's something I'm passionate about.
Right.
So at the time, it wasn't something that I was super passionate about in middle school, I would say. But that's also because I was doing a lot of other sports. I was doing cross country, I was doing volleyball, I did basketball, I was doing every sport in high school.
You're trying to do hooper and do all that in middle school and all that.
Yeah, I realized basketball wasn't my thing early, but that's okay.
It's true. That's because you wasn't doing that. I remember I tried to work you out in that.
Nah,
didn't go
it was like the coordination thing wasn't my strongest.
But as short was, it was simple. So.
Yeah.
But no, so who do you think really helped develop you in swimming? Was it Rob? I forget the names. There was a lot of gays. It's a lot of guys. Dave. There's the guy he's always around walking the dogs. I see him around the neighborhood a lot.
Oh, Brett, maybe
Brett,
he was always there. Yeah.
So who helped? And I know there's some ladies I'm missing, but who do you think really helped develop your swimming?
So I guess the people who did the most was definitely probably Dave and Rob, and then eventually Nick. So Dave was with me from 6 years old all the way up through high school. Mm-hmm. He coached me on and off, depending on what teams I was on or what groups I was in or whatever. So he knew me to my core probably the best. Both how I get motivated, how I need to do training wise, what I don't need, how he needs to coach me, how he can talk to me. He always knew me the best. Rob knew me very, very well. Rob, I think, is definitely a good coach. But Dave had the most influence because of just how much he knew me to my core, personality wise and athletically, I would say. But both Dave and Rob were my two primary people, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you look up to any of the swimmers, or I know there's a lot of haters there. I'll say there's a lot of hating on you at there and stuff like that.
Shorewood in general, to an extent.
Yeah, I mean that's everywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
But sure, it's just they were hated for. Well, it was just hating, and you were more effective. You didn't show it. You still did your shit, but they were still the older girls. It was just petty. I don't know, maybe the added being the black girl and shit like that, or just not talking and not fucking with too many people. But did you feel did you feel that, and And did you look up to any of the older swimmers there?
Yeah, I definitely looked up to some of them. Some of the people who like went on to swim in college, like obviously like
was it
when they went D1.
Seller girl? Is she
Selinger, yeah, she was pretty good. Okay. She went to Brown.
Yeah.
That's
so what I'm saying. Like the swim team was always, that was the only good program we had.
Yeah, sure. That was consistent at least, you know, that I can remember. Ever. Yeah. Maybe track every once in a while, but yeah, swimming was the main thing.
Because track was just always one random black person over there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Every once in a while.
No, and speaking about track, Dad made you do track your first year, and you can go back to talking about who influenced you and like who you looked up to swimming.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad made you do track your freshman year, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't want to do it, but you actually ended up doing. Was it cross country or track?
It was track.
Track,
so
and you ended up doing really, really good, like making it to state and all that. Did you place? And could you tell me about that?
Yeah. Like so freshman year. I think track season's in the spring. It's like later in the year, right after swimming season.
Yeah, it's in the summer.
In the summer. Yeah. So it was after swimming season. So I actually started. Yeah, I started it late because I was still finishing up my club swimming season, and so I missed most of indoor season for track, and then I pretty much just started training for outdoor. As I came in late, I didn't ease into it at all, and I wasn't like track, you can't just like start running hard, like you're gonna injure yourself, which I didn't really know. Splits? Not shin splits. I got 2 stress fractures by the end of the season.
But you ran through the shit, and you like, how far did you end up making it? Like, cause you did make it to state. Did you place or anything?
I made it to state individually in the 800, and then also in the 4x4 and 4x8 relays that we had. And I ended up doing the 800. I did not place. I was injured, so I literally was like just casually ran around to focus on the relays for our team.
Did you take that? Not to cut you off, but like, did you take that as something like, was you happy about that, or is it just like whatever? Like, I'm happy this shit over with Dad. Finally, I'm happy he's off my back with it, and I can move on to just like chill out and swimming and get healthy.
I wasn't mad about doing track. I mean, I think I definitely have potential in track, so I understand the purpose.
Were you
of
happy though? But
did
you realize, like, damn, like you made the state your freshman year, not even trying, like not even liking it, wasn't putting the full effort in practice, like it was just all natural ability.
I mean, I was happy with it in general, like seeing how good I did with how little I was able to train, and then how like the coaches like didn't clearly understand me as an athlete, like coming from swimming where my coaches I knew forever and they knew me well and knew what I needed coaching wise. Like these people didn't know what I needed at all. Like they didn't ever trust my judgment on the track team.
Okay.
They were always questioning like when I was injured.
Yeah.
Like they didn't think I had a stress. They were trying to push me because they were like they saw my potential, but I was like, no, but I'm telling you. Also, I'm hurting. Whatever. No, I know when I'm in pain, and I'm usually not in pain. And if I am, I'm usually gonna push through it. But when it's like next level, obviously, when I know I'm about to potentially seriously injure myself, when I knew I had swimming and like a lot that I still wanted to do in that summer season, and that was coming up, so I knew I couldn't get injured. I couldn't risk that for like my career swimming wise, because I knew that's what I for sure wanted to do in college. You know what I mean? So,
how early did you start getting college letters? College recruitment interest?
15, I think,
was
is when they started sending.
The first one, or?
Yeah, probably like UWM. Some of like the more like smaller like D1 school sort of thing, or like emails. They would send emails probably more than letters for me. Just kind of seeing where you were, trying to talk in that sense to start.
I got 2 quick questions right now that just popped up in my head. Was it ever a competition that you always thought? I don't know. Was it ever like, oh yeah, damn, Austin over here doing his thing, like, oh yeah, I gotta get him a little bit, or are you like, oh yeah, I'm already doing my thing way past him, so I'm good, or did you ever think about it as like, I don't think you did, it's just a question.
No, I definitely didn't look at it as a competition with us, because our stuff is so different, swimming and basketball.
Even with family, like, did you like, getting personal, like, did you feel like attention wise, or was it nothing extra?
No, it was nothing. I had no... Yeah, I felt very indifferent. I knew I was doing my thing. I knew where I was going.
Did you used to come to the games back then?
Your games? Yeah, in high school. I went to all your high school games, I feel like. The ones that I could make. Yeah, because obviously I had practice too some days, and our practice was always at night. Yeah. So sometimes I can make the games, I'm sure, but I remember definitely going to a lot of your high school games. I went to all the state championships that you had for sure.
State games or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of forgot off my other second question, but yeah. So like swimming wise, what were your? I do remember it. What was your first? Tell me all the records you broke. And, yeah, all the records you broke in both. Like, cause you broke records in club and state in school or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Club and state for high school.
So like, could you just name off a few of those? Like, cause it's
yeah.
More than it's at least 5.
State, for high school, I got 100 free state record and
100 free for y'all is.
That's like they're back.
4 laps.
Yeah, 4 laps, and then 200 free as well, which is 8.
So yeah. So and the crazy thing about her, which I think is so awesome too, also, of course, I'm gonna keep harking on it that yeah, she's a black swimmer. On top of that, there's no black people that when we go to the meets, it's like when we're the only people there type thing.
Oh, I know.
Like even me, like that shit was weird as hell. My swimming.
Right, probably even being in the stands, it probably felt weird.
Oh, you are like, it was chill. Sometimes UW, and I'm with Rob Jeter over there hooping. I'm with the basketball team.
True.
I'm not trying to be there. But I hate when mom used to force me to go to like Schrader, and we used to have to sit in that hot ass,
super hot,
whatever. It felt like a sauna and just be. You don't swim, shit. You swim like 3 times a day, and you gotta sit there the full day. But
it's hours.
Do you remember what were we talking about? That we kind of changed topics a little bit.
We were talking about the.
I was bringing up all the state records that you broke.
Oh yes.
So like so club. So tell me about that.
Club I got.
You said you started telling me about that.
Yes.
200. You broke the 100. That was
for club. It was different. I think it was.
Oh, and I'm sorry. And that's what I said was awesome about you, because because swimmers are usually longer, and you're not tall.
Yeah, I'm not tall at all.
Your arms are kind of long, but you're still short.
Right.
So like that's what really made it awesome. Like to see, like I remember like everybody be geeks seeing you swim like, oh look at that, let's go. Like you be just moving, and her arms would be looking like it wouldn't look like you be doing the right strokes, but you'll be zoom, hitting them, and like that's not normal for a swimmer.
Yeah.
Also, they're usually lengthy and long.
Yeah. I had a lot of power for sure. My wingspan definitely helps because my arms are longer than my height, disproportionately a little bit, but that worked in my favor for the sport most definitely. I would say the power that I have, like naturally in the water, and my ability to pull the water was what differentiated me probably from a lot of people, and why I could keep up with the taller people, especially as a sprinter. Like everybody expects you to be in swimming at least like 5'10" for a girl or above, and like I'm 5'4", so I obviously had to find other ways, alternative ways to keep up with those people.
Right.
But overall, I mean, back to I guess state records for club, they do it by age range, so like 15, 16, 17 and up. So I think I got eventually a 100 and 200 freestyle as well, I think there in 15 to 16 maybe. Actually maybe not 200 free, but definitely the 100 free. And then maybe 50 free in meters. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I got a couple different ones in club too.
So how many state championships, just to put a number on it?
In total, 2 for high school, not counting relays. We also got a couple relays, and then at least 2 for club as well.
Okay.
But I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So before we go on to college and stuff like that, before we move on to college, do you feel like it was a difference that you go to Shorewood, or do you feel like you were kind of misconceived, like a little bit, or do you felt like it was a good thing that you stayed at Shorewood all through, or do you feel like you're looked at as like, can you talk about, what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So how, like,
I mean, like recruiting wise in a way?
No, even recruiting wise and even people wise. So like even how people perceive you maybe. Because like people perceive me probably like nonchalant, so they think I might be an asshole. Like, but like I heard like even my cousin was like, well, why she not talking to me? I don't know. She's like probably like doesn't even like even maybe not even know you. Right. Because we're like related on different sides of the family, or like maybe not even like recognizing you or whatever. But like, do you ever like? Is that ever? You ever think that like that was a difference, or it could have been different, or?
I mean, I think overall, I mean, Shorewood, it's definitely like more away from everywhere else. I feel like in Milwaukee, or at least whenever I say I went to Shorewood, a lot of people are like, I don't know. Well, it's like in
It's right there. It's Milwaukee,
whatever.
WM, East Side.
Yeah.
That shit, Riverside's all right there.
Yeah, but most people like don't even know the school, or they like, yeah, that sounds familiar. So in a way, I guess, but honestly, I didn't care if people knew. Swimming's not like a big sport anyways. I didn't really expect people to ever like know about me or like it be a public thing to an extent. Or
I never heard you.
Really...
I never got you mad like, oh damn, I'm not getting recognition. Like,
I definitely wanted recognition, at least locally, like at least Shorewood to do it, which they did to an extent. I felt like my peers didn't. Totally. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like my ego was a little hurt that my peers like didn't. I feel like see how hard I worked or like my athletic side as much. Like they knew I was.
They saw it, they just hated it, so it was fuck them.
That's how I felt, but I might
that's
be
what I'm saying. It was fuck them because they were just hating on you. That's all it was.
Maybe.
They knew what you was. Yeah, they just didn't have the talent it was. And look at this person.
Definitely. I think a lot of people.
So people are gonna take that away, but well, I'm saying it, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
But so yeah, going into that college, like, what was your? You had letters from everywhere. Like you have more letters than me, for real. Like for real, you literally had like 3 boxes, like just smack the full. What were your top 5? What was your top 5 schools?
So top 5 schools, like before I took any recruiting trips, was probably a lot of SEC schools. That's where I was primarily looking. So Tennessee, Texas A&M, Missouri, and Arkansas. That's where I ended up taking trips. But I was also talking to Arizona for a while, Virginia for a while, as well as. I don't even know. Some other school on the East Coast. I can't quite remember.
Brown?
No, I think it was.
You never messed with Brown?
No, I didn't even look at Ivy Leagues, to be honest, for my grades purposes. Because in swimming, they still expect you definitely to have good grades. So I was like, I'm not even going to play there. And the only schools I would have looked at if I was looking at like really good educational schools was Virginia. I would have kept talking to them. I stopped talking to them because of like my grades, which my grades weren't bad by any means, but they weren't up to par with where I felt like I would be able to keep up with everybody academically, and I didn't want to risk failing or something ever. So that was that reason, but I would have looked at Stanford if I was really trying to go like education-wise, because that's like the top school for swimming girls who are smart, and it wasn't really an option. They weren't recruiting me. I honestly didn't get recruited by any California
That was my irritation with you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it. So like, why the fuck did you do that? Why the fuck did you go? So I'm sorry, I'll break news. Why she went to Texas A&M, whatever.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you do that when you could have went to like Wisconsin? Like we talked about this.
Yeah.
UW and got your. I gotta stop cussing. Get your stuff, get your shit off, and like do really good.
Yeah.
And do like really prosper, and then do it in your city. Why not do that instead of go all the way to Texas? Other than the cliche, I know you're gonna. I want to get away from home and all that. But like, why not stay here and like really just put on and like do that? Did you ever think about it like that?
I never.
Explain the reasoning.
To stay in state.
Because they were on you so hard. Like they wanted you hard from freshman year.
Honestly, I turned down
WM, all that.
Yeah, I turned down Wisconsin like right away after our first conversation because I knew I didn't want to talk to him. And Wisconsin's a great school. It's a great school. But okay, the program was not for me at all, and I'm glad I didn't go.
Why you say that?
Well, I mean, the coach ended up getting, I think, fired within a few years of me being in college in general, so he would have left anyways. He also didn't have the coaching style that I liked. Like we know.
Talk about that because I don't think a lot of people on my channel, of course, don't know what swimming swimming styles is. So
it's the same probably with most sports. It's like there's the yellers, there's the people who are gonna get in your face, yelling at you. There's the people who are gonna be more soft spoken, more laid back. People who are going to be more like,
I got you, same thing.
You know,
I got you, same thing.
I don't do yelling. I can't. You yell at me, I'm gonna yell back.
No, you yell.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna work. The dynamic would just be toxic. So I'm gonna avoid that. Yeah. So I had to go to a place where I knew like the coaches were gonna be like a lot more patient, a lot more soft spoken, more passive, but like trusting that I knew what I was doing and trusted
But you don't even think that, like, my problem was, like, you don't think, like, even if you would have went to the Wisconsin, Wisconsin, you would have been way more, like, they do swimming different, so, like, oh, yeah, they push you to only the things that they think you're good at. They would have put you probably in way more different events, way more things at Wisconsin, so why you don't think that? Not being sorry, you just thought, so why you didn't do that? Like, so, that's the obvious reason to me, like, go get your shit up, go do all those things and prosper and do it, like, you was hooked. Olympic trials. Right. You was right there, seconds off. Like.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's Wisconsin. I didn't trust that I would improve to the extent with those coaches that I did at Texas A&M. Like, that was it at the end of the day. I knew I was going to get better with that coach. I knew, like, his style was going to fit me. I also knew that the team was going places and that they had a high chance, being new to the SEC and winning their first SEC championship. Like, I knew all of that stuff was coming and, like, good things were coming. Plus, like, their recruiting was consistent and he recruited potential, not just, like, the top-notch people. And those people genuinely would develop into being, like, top-notch NCAA athletes. So, like, I knew that even though I was recruited well, I was, like, highly ranked. I wasn't highly ranked to the point where people were going to expect me to be top 8 at NCAAs. Like, that's not what people were expecting out of me, you know? So I knew I needed to go to a place where a coach believed in me and also saw my potential to get better. And he did. And I knew that. And the reason why I didn't end up going to, like, Tennessee, for instance, was because I didn't feel like those coaches believed in me at all. Like, they saw my potential, but they weren't willing to do that financially, help me out there. You know, scholarship wasn't calling my name, so because of that, I was, you know, wrote them off pretty early. A&M had the best deal when it came to scholarship mixed with coaching, mixed with me being confident that I was going to get better there, mixed with, like, academics as well. All of that combined, it was the best deal for me, in my opinion. Right. I definitely don't think I would have been happy at Wisconsin. Obviously, I would have known a lot of my peers, and it would have been that, but I really wanted to start over, to be honest, when I went to college. That was a big part of it. Starting from square one, and I wanted to be a part of a team where I wasn't the big fish in a little pond. I wanted to be in the middle of the mix. Some people would rather be, like, the top dog at their place. Like, I wanted to be in the middle, so I had something to work up to, so that when I was a senior, hopefully I was the top dog.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But, so, like, so do you feel like you made the right decision that made you a better swimmer?
Yeah.
Like, saying that was the right decision?
I think that was the right decision. I mean, I think there's other schools looking back that I would have also talked to in the recruiting process to, like, maybe open up some of those doors.
Yeah.
But overall, I think amongst the schools that I was looking at, I do think it was the best decision. I mean, we went on, by my sophomore year, we won our first SEC championship, and that was a close meet, but that was, like, my favorite meet of all time. And then after that, we went on to win my junior and senior year SECs again. Got, you know, some SEC records in there with relays that I got to be a part of, which if I would have went to any of those other schools, I would have maybe not had that opportunity. Tennessee, maybe, but the rest of them, no. So, I mean, I got to be a part of awesome relays, awesome teams, and then also got to improve myself. I mean, it was the best deal overall, I do think.
What improvements do you think that you made personally?
Personally? Like, in terms of...
What you just said. You told me.
Well, I mean, I made improvements in terms of my times. Like, I improved on everything. My best event ended up being an event that I didn't even do in high school. It was the 200 IM. I ended up...
What do you feel like you improved on off of out of the pool?
I mean...
I thought that's what you were
in a way. I mean, I feel like college just... you grow up after college because you have to. So, I mean, I learned a lot in general, but in reference to what swimming taught me, I would say it taught me how to deal with the team environment, you know, so that definitely comes into the workplace as well. Got me to deal with, definitely handling lots of different personalities. I feel like that's the biggest thing. And for our teams, like most teams, boys and girls train together. For us, it was separate, so I only trained with girls. And that dynamic, a lot can get intense. A lot of girls all the time. But it was also a blast. Like, I had so much fun. So, I mean, yeah.
How was it moving to from Wisconsin all the way to Texas? How was
that? That was good.
The
transition, the weather, of course, was better. Transition, obviously, it's a transition for anybody their first year of college, no matter what. Like, that's going to be a struggle to an extent. I think my first semester, I remember feeling kind of like lonely for sure, but I didn't feel homesick necessarily. It was more like, these people don't know me. I want somebody.
You with Johnny Manziel freshman year.
I was not even partying that much. We weren't allowed to go out more than Saturday, so that I would only go out on Saturdays, and then we had a dry season for like 3 months of the season, so like you didn't even drink at all in the springtime, so it wasn't that crazy partying wise, especially my freshman year, but that first semester was just, nobody knew me, so that was the issue.
As a person, because you told me I changed you as a swimmer, but how did you feel like it changed you as a person?
Like moving to Texas or swimming in general?
You told me that that's what, you said that's what was different, it helped you grow, and it was like also being an adult.
Being away from home and then also being in a team environment, I feel like it forced you to grow up quick, like you have to. But I don't think that was much of an issue for me. I feel like I've always been pretty mature in that sense, if that makes sense, and independent, which worked in my favor. Because a lot of people were homesick. My roommate was from like Illinois, like Chicago area, and like she struggled a lot with being homesick, but I didn't. So, I mean, to each his own, but I wanted to get away. So I think that was a big reason as to why I wasn't homesick. Yeah.
How close were you to actually making it to the Olympics or Olympic trials, or what was that? Yeah,
so my sophomore year, that summer heading into my junior year, was Olympic trials. So I made semifinals in my best event, which was the 200 IM. So I was 11th going into semifinals, and I ended up getting 16th. But that was definitely the best, I guess, highlight of my swimming career for sure. That was like the highest I've ever been.
I remember I came back from Kentucky and you got a cat. I was pissed.
Well, that was when I was 10. But yes, that was also for winning. I remember that so distinctly when you came into my room and he was in there.
I just came back from Kentucky. I was like, what? I was pissed.
I know, because you were scared
y'all know I don't
at
mess
first.
with animals, so y'all just made a big statement. But that was
Bobby was great.
Yeah, that's what's up. R.I.P. Bob. But what things really motivated you to keep going forward with swimming and what motivated you the whole way?
Honestly, I mean, partially scholarship. It was like, if I leave, I don't got that in education. But I mean, overall, we wanted to win a NCAA championship by the time we were seniors. Like our whole incoming class, and we were #1 recruiting class coming out of high school, so that was our goal always. Unfortunately, we didn't get there. Our highest placing ever at NCAA's was 3rd, which we did our last 2 years. But we had Cal and Stanford ahead of us, and they had all the Olympians. So that doesn't help. We obviously definitely had some Olympians as well, but they had all the American Olympians, which are more familiar with yards. Swimming, it gets complicated, but there's yards, short course meters, and meters. Meters is the Olympics, yards is college and high school swimming. That's what we go off of. So when we get the foreigners, they've never done yards before, and so they usually struggle their first couple of years to transition. Well, obviously all the Americans already know yards. So when you have Olympians, they get, it's a little bit, I don't know, they're usually just a lot better, of course.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah, so are you pretty happy with your experience and through swimming that wise?
Yeah, I mean, overall, swimming at Texas A&M was a good choice for me. I think it was the best choice. No, I definitely know I worked my butt off. I did everything on my part.
What made you stop?
I mean, when I finished my...
I think that was a big surprise to our family, to the little people I talked to in our family, and to me also.
I feel like most people who I wasn't talking to every day were pretty surprised when I stopped. I mean, I was done with my eligibility,
Mm-hmm.
and I definitely had some teammates, girls my grade, that kept going, but they were all people who were already Olympians or were like just shy of being an Olympian, like they got third when only top 2 go sort of deal. And so they were all still very much in it, still being invited to travel internationally. I had never made a national team,
Mm-hmm.
never made a travel team internationally or anything like that. So to me, it was like to keep going in a sport where you're not making money, and it's also just one of those sports, especially as a black female, like I don't feel pretty, I don't feel confident, if we're gonna be real.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Why not?
I was ready to move on. Because, I mean, a lot with your hair, like, I think that's the biggest thing as to why it's off-putting for black females for the most
The
part.
chlorine.
The chlorine, the way it dries out your skin and your hair is insane. And it was something I was just used to, and I was like, I had my goals, so I was like, I'm gonna do this no matter what. But then when I got to the end, and I was like, I mean, the money's not here to do this sport seriously. I mean, why do it? And I'd rather start to see what life could be outside of this. Like, do I have any other passions? Is there anything else that I'm good at?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I wanted to figure out. That's why I kept, well, not kept going, but that's why I stopped.
You feel like you figured that out? Have you figured that out, or you're on your way?
I'm still figuring it out, but
What ways that you
I'm
took
definitely
to
on
figure it
my
out?
way. What?
What ways that you took to like take those steps?
So
feeling like you figured it
afterwards, yeah, so after my swimming ended, I still had a whole nother year of school. So that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm still on scholarship. I got a full ride for my 5th year, so I knew I was gonna get, paid a little bit of money to go to school. So I was like, cool, I have that, but I wanna get a job. I've never had a job before. So I went and got like a part-time job working at a bar, and then I got another job working as like a Tinder brand marketing manager. As a lot of people probably saw on my Instagram, because I was having to post for them on social media for a little bit.
Glad I ain't seen.
Whatever. It was literally, they paid me, money to do that, so why not? Extra cash for like nothing. And honestly, the first semester was literally just throwing parties and having bar tabs and handing out free stuff. Like, that's the easiest job in the world, so I took it. Yeah. So I did that my last year, just to kind of make some money, get some experience in a job in general. And then from there I knew, okay, well, I don't want to go back to Wisconsin, and I don't have a job, so I need to get a job. So I started applying for places for jobs in Austin, because that was,
of course, because you love me so much.
Yeah, because that's where I wanted to go. I had a few friends in Austin, Texas, so I was like, the city's cool, it's fun, and a great place like at this age to be. So I was like, I'm gonna try and get a job there. Obviously Houston or Dallas probably would have been more attainable financially, but I was like, whatever. I got lucky and had a friend who owned a home there, so I got cheaper rent and things like that. So it ended up working out for me. So I started working as a professional recruiter. Didn't really know what I was doing at first. Obviously, wasn't a job that you major in or something like that in college. So that was that, but I'm still doing that now. But I'm also trying to pursue some side hustles, see if there's other things I'm passionate about, also really getting into fitness more.
You moving down to Texas, we finna build this.
Yes, I'm moving back to Texas in about 2 weeks now. And
Are you going back to Austin?
Yes, going right back to Austin, but I'm going to be working remotely due to everything, obviously, with the pandemic. So that'll be convenient for me, though, because I got a dog that's still a puppy now. Yeah, he's a cute dog. He's a pit bull, so not Austin's favorite, but that's okay. But yeah, so I'm going to get down there. I'm going to start focusing on my nutrition and stuff. I'm gonna start working out more consistently. I already got a few friends down there that are gonna be working out with me. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. I was thinking about maybe starting to record some of those workouts, maybe pursuing something in fitness on the side, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm still trying to find like my outside passion projects, but I'm playing around with stuff. And yeah, maybe trying to get into modeling as well. Low key.
Trying to be like
But we'll see. Sure.
Trying to be like a model.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the model of the family.
Yeah, putting up numbers.
Whatever.
But yeah, I got a few. If you don't gotta talk about it, you're gonna talk about it. But if I even fucking remember. But thanks for coming again. But also, did you have any questions? And like, thanks for telling me more stuff that I didn't even know. Also, but yeah, is there more like anything else that maybe that you went through that maybe I didn't know? There any other things that you want to maybe just tell me or like get off your chest? Yeah, we don't talk a lot and we don't go this.
Yeah.
That you just want to say real fast.
Well, we can talk about being black and swimming a little bit more in detail because I feel like that was a big part of things for me. And maybe you can relate. I feel like Wisconsin, stereotypically, people don't think there's black people here, which is kind of funny. But realistically, like, we have a big black population. But, like, people always assume, oh, like, you're whitewashed. That's what people say about me. Let's be real. So I feel like I was... Yeah. So I feel like I was always a little exiled from the black community. From my perspective, that's how I felt.
Not to cut you off, but the way I think that I made it up was because basketball type shit and all that shit, and I didn't really give a fuck. But like, so I came to Kings, so like they'll say like, oh yeah, why are you talking like a white boy? Why are you talking like a white boy? And then I started like, eventually they stopped because basketball, so they stopped fucking with me. But then I would have responses like, hey, I just look at him straight up. What else supposed to sound like?
Yeah.
Like that, and it's just like ways to deal with it. But yeah,
for sure.
Like that has effects of like going to Short and being like, because back when we went to Short, there wasn't too many black people out there. But yeah, I hear you on that.
And the comparison too is it's not just from them, but then it's also like obviously I'm not white. I'll never be like accepted by them to that extent either. And so they would always, obviously have a lot of like little ignorant comments, seeing that I'm the only black person ever around a lot of these people.
In Texas.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily even in Texas, but in swimming. Like when I'm at practice, like I'm the only black person there, you know? Like that's how it's always been. So like when you hear ignorant things, like I'm always having to be the person to say something or to call somebody out, but it's me against everybody. And so I dealt with that like my whole life and having to call people out and say little things or deal with the little racist comments. Like, you know what I mean? I dealt with that.
I used to be schooling the teacher at Cardinal Stretch about fucking, I'm like, dude, no, I'm black. And of course they're going to ask. Like, I've been telling like, so they're going to ask this question or they're looking for me automatically. Like, I'm kind of worried, just driving. And he didn't understand, like, it's just like the basic things that, like, I'm not going to describe it, just like basic things that you, like, that you have to go through and be, like, noticeable about or knowledgeable about it. And he never would get that. And I'd be, like, putting teacher on game. So I'm sitting there, like, man, what the fuck are you? What am I sitting here for? Like, what are you really teaching me, fam? You teaching me about whole other stuff.
People don't even fully know what they're talking about, I feel like, half the time, in that sense, at least. And I know, obviously, it was, like, the Olympic, the Olympic year is also the presidential year usually, so my sophomore year was when that was going down, when Trump was being elected and having to deal with that at the tables. They play everything in the athlete dining room. They would have like all the political stuff up there and then just having to sit at a table with a group of people. In Texas, also a very conservative state, and having to deal with some of that as well. And that whole year was difficult for that, honestly, alone. And then in high school, like there was definitely a few incidents where, like there was one incident where somebody was texting somebody, I guess some really racist things about me from other teams that I didn't even know about. I've never seen to this day. And I found out later people were getting suspended for like having horrible conversations about me and little things like that. So like, I don't even know the full extent to what probably went down even especially behind closed doors, but like, I definitely know some people expressed some negative opinions about me just because I was black in the community for sure. And it wasn't just me in a way. I was thankful that I had a like another teammate as well, who was also black. She was half black, but black is black to people. Rachel. Yeah. So that was nice, but then again, like with certain things that I feel like I had to deal with as a black woman, like, I mean, dealing with my hair and my texture and things like that is things that she didn't really totally have to deal with. Yeah, she was mixed. She had like really, really nice long hair always. I always thought her hair was gorgeous. I don't know how she felt about it, so I won't put her words in her mouth, but you know, I feel like I always had to deal with it to a different extent. I mean, with a swim cap, you can only do so much with your hair, put it in a, you know, a little bun, because you can't really wear braids. Like I couldn't put this in a swim cap, so I can't wear stuff like this, you know what I mean? Like I would look crazy. You can't, it's facts. So I feel like I would always get a lot of the comments from my peers, oh, when you wear your hair down, like you look good, you're actually attractive, or little things like that, literally all the time. And then
she look like a white girl.
Yeah, exactly. When I look like something I'm not. Yeah. But when I have my hair up, just natural, whatever, like no comments. I don't know. Yeah, it was always dealing with a lot of that little stuff too. But that just caused, you know, little insecurities in me probably at a young age. But I mean, overall, once I stopped swimming, obviously things changed a little bit there. But then I realized like how, I guess, judgmental people are and how like cliche. Yeah, everybody is.
Real thing, so vain world. But yeah, that's what's up. Thanks for sharing that with me. I appreciate that. Did you have any questions that you ever had, that you ever thought about, like, yeah, why you do that, or any questions about what happened with them that you wanted to ask me? Before you leave, right?
Probably long, but
Nothing was on.
I mean, I want to know for you. I know you talked about it, like I guess briefly, but like the transition from Shorewood to King. Like, how was that? Because, like, obviously, we were never the new kids at Shorewood, and then you were suddenly, like, a new kid at a new school. Did anybody know you beforehand? If they did, like, did you have friends out right away? Like, how was that?
Yeah, I was saying the cocky, but yeah.
So it was nothing transition-wise, really?
Motherfuckers, so I'm long with it. Motherfuckers know me. People reached out to me when they figured out that I was going to King right away, started reaching out. But then also, like, the first week, my trail came. We got my trail in right away, ASAP, so my guy was there right away. And then, yeah, like, it was whatever, like, Mark was working there. You said, and what was the full question? You said,
like, I mean, just overall.
You said, was it difference? The only difference was, like, you know, at Shore, we had one fight.
Yeah.
And that was with my 8th grade year. She was there, but whatever. Maya told you whooped this.
I remember
Maya
that.
told her you whooped the fuck out this girl. You whooped her real bad. And like Justin got in a fight with like Coleman and stuff like that. But like we ain't had no fights ever. First day at King. I'm not gonna say the name. First day at King, this girl just came. I'm looking for class and stuff like that. And I didn't know what King was. So I'm thinking King is like custard. And that's what my pops like. That's what I grew up around. So I'm thinking I'm going to something totally different. King is, they got people living in Shorewood, East Side. They're all who went to Shorewood, who went to, they just ended up going to King. But, so that was that happened. But then what the fuck? What was I saying? So like the fight. Oh yeah. So the first day of school, literally, it was a fight. I'm looking for class, trying to find class, and the girl just smacked fire on her. She just like. I'm coming from Shore, so we got that shit don't never
like
happen in school too or nothing. It was just like, and everybody like everybody was just standing around. I'm just watching like, all right, like it's on, like that's what it is. But it wasn't a difference. The only difference, like we talked about earlier, like I was hooped, so like that was like I guess like my little thing. I never gave a fuck what nobody thought, but like like I never gave a fuck what nobody thought. Hooping always looked kind of like a distraction where people couldn't talk so much shit or whatever. They still talk shit, but I still just found a way to cope or whatever. Maybe not the best ways, but I found ways to cope. Like, yo, only thing they could say about me is like, oh, why you, like, I'm just different. I wasn't focused on something else. And also, I was just like, my answer, why you talk like that? How I'm supposed to talk, bro? Yeah. And they don't, like, once you look somebody in the eye, you see what you really about. Like, and I was wild back then, so it was what it was. So I didn't have a really problem. It was just a difference. I thought it would be, like, more rowdy. But it wasn't as rowdy, even with that fight, as I thought it would be. Yeah. Like I thought it would be straight, like the typical what that people would think of MPS, and it wasn't shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like good people, it was good people, good teachers, like very racist. It was all type of multicultural. So yeah.
Probably more than Shorewood for sure.
At the time, we had Hmong people. There were so many white people I didn't know that went there. There was black people. It was from different. So there's black people who lived in the neighborhood from the hood, but there was also white people all the way from the east side.
Right.
There was Asians from wherever. Like we had everything, mixture of everything type thing, and it was cool though. It was cool though.
And that's one thing I wish.
Well, it wasn't cool.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But the diversity though was good to see at least, don't you think?
No, the basketball one thing was good.
I mean.
Everything else was weak. I was like, wish I was stayed short with it.
Really?
Yeah, because think about it. You got to graduate with all the people we grew up with since kindergarten type shit.
Yeah.
Same thing with people at King. Like, they know all the people. Like, they went to school at MPS and went to school with people like that. Like, we didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate. I didn't want to go to graduation. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't want to graduate. Yeah, I didn't want to go to graduation. I didn't try to graduate. And yeah, that just made that shit happen. And yeah, I didn't care about that shit. I didn't know none of those people. Like, that shit didn't mean shit to me. So,
I feel that. I was the same. I was like, I only did it obviously because parents did it. Everybody does graduation. It's so small and short at Shorewood, so why not? But I didn't even really want to do the college one too, but whatever.
Yeah.
Just because it takes forever.
College prom?
No, college, whatever, graduation.
Okay, yeah. We went to, I went to. Any other questions that you got, like about like why did you anything or anything, basketball or anything, life-wise, if there's anything you got before we ended off? Things. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. We've been chopping it up. It's good conversation. Yeah, appreciate you.
I don't know. I think we're good. Probably ask you some more stuff later. I don't know.
But yeah, we only got right after the camera. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming.
Yeah.
That's I got my little sister here, state champion, multiple state championship in swimming. She finished her career at Texas A&M. Thanks for coming. You guys can also once again keep up with me and my podcast on all social media. The Malone-Mitchell podcast, Malone-Mitchell basketball, and also Mitch Austin, my personal page. You guys keep up with all the contact, YouTube, the Malone-Mitchell TV. Make sure you guys comment, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys keep the engagement going. Thanks for watching, and let's keep it going. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming.